Okay, YouTube, it's Friday, November 27th, the day after Thanksgiving, of course. And I think I told you after my last video I was wanting to do a startup of this car. Got up this morning and thought I was going to be able to just do a quick startup. Electric fuel pump was not working. I had to take it apart. It's a Mallory 140 series, which I think MSD now owns, because when you look up for a new pump, you get MSD's name on it too, or maybe they would always have been connected. I don't know, but that's another thing. I wish I'd have really done a video on how I fixed the pump. It was a simple fix. The pump gears in it are very similar to an oil pump, if you've ever had one of those apart. And of course it goes in an aluminum housing on the electric fuel pump, and the gears are steel, and it wasn't corroded bad. It was really clean inside. My gas is holding up well, which it's got racing gas mixed in it. But there was a little spot of rust on the actual pump gears, making the big pump gears stick in the housing. Kind of hard to explain without showing you if you don't know what the inside of one of those fuel pumps look like. But I wish I'd have made a video is what I'm trying to say. But I got the pump on it, got it working, got gas for fuel. Supposed to call it fuel, I guess. I don't know. Some people say gas, some people say fuel. Doesn't matter to me. But I have fuel up in the carburetor now. I didn't see any leaks, so I'm going to jump in it and see if it fires. I have not started this since I think this spring, and which is not good for this engine. I need to start it up about once a month. This car's been sitting in here for almost 5 years now with no racing. If you watch all my videos, you kind of know why. So, okay, we're going to see how it fires up. actually started up pretty easy. I just want to explain one thing. When I first cranked it over, you notice it was turning real slow, like it had a low battery, or maybe the timing was too high. And what that was, this car here, the advance is locked out on the distributor, meaning it has no advance plates or anything. Whatever you set your timing at, that's what it is, wide open or idle. A lot of race motors do that, and what happens with that is, if when you try to start it and you got a little bit too much fuel in the cylinders, I pumped it a couple times, maybe more than I should have. Well, then you got to turn your ignition switch off for it to crank over right. If you notice, it struggled, and then I stopped, tried it again, it cranked over good, and while it was cranking, I just turned on the ignition switch. After the car warms up, we'll sit in the car and I'll show you what you mean, what I mean about that. The old car started up good, I don't see any leak. Sounds good. Man, I gotta get this thing back out and start having some fun with it again. I tell you, I just love hearing this thing run. And like I said, I shouldn't let it sit that long. It's not good for it. But the old girl just seems to act like she's never been away. I've explained this in other videos. If you have noticed, the tires seem kind of small for a car with wheel tubs. That's because I don't have my big slicks on it. Normally, I don't drive this car to street, and when you store the car, you really shouldn't leave your racing slicks out in cold weather. They tend to dry out and get hard. When they get old, they get hard anyway. But I always store my racing slicks down in the basement so that they don't react too well to really, really cold temperatures. It'll kind of ruin a pair of tires. Yeah, I try to get about 2 seasons out of my tires when I do race. Sure haven't done that in a long time. But whole trailer's so dirty, needs clean. Wow. Alright, now the fan, what you hear running right now is actually, well, this fan here, which is wired to my ignition switch, which I would like to change because every time I turn the key, it comes on. But you can hear the fan up front whining, and that's the fan and water pump that's hooked to this switch. This a 3-way switch right there is nothing. That stays on all the time, but down is there's a electric thermostat switch which kicks it on and off at 140 degrees. And it will automatically go off once it cools up down to below 140. And we got it up to 160 just to get some heat in the engine. And if you notice the oil pressure, my oil pressure is not super high like most race motors with a high volume oil pump would have. And there's a reason for that. I run a stock oil pump. And the reason I do that is I don't have a big 10-quart oil pan. And if you have a high volume or high pressure oil pump and you only have a stock 7-quart oil pan, which I believe this one is, you can suck it out of the bottom, pump all the oil to the top. You need a big oil pan for that. But this is a rear sump, Fox bodied type 460 oil pan. This is a 460 stroke to 514 for those of you who haven't watched my other videos and don't know. But I run a stock pan, and really that is, if you can see, the reason I do that and run the stock oil pump, I only shift this big motor at 5800. I don't take it way up there. It doesn't need to. I've shifted it at 65 and it runs about the same as it does at 58. So why work your motor harder than it needs to be worked? It doesn't really go any quicker when you shift it higher. And the engine lasts longer because of that. And when you don't have to turn those kind of RPMs, you don't need a really high pressure oil pump and the huge 10-quart oil pan. And for anybody that says, oh, that's no good, that's not the way to do it, this engine has been together since 2007. I raced it every single year from 2007 up to 2010, and it's been sitting ever since. After I built it in 2007, I tore it apart just to check everything. I think in 2008 or maybe 2009, and all I did was put a fresh set of bearings in it, but my old bearings look good. That's really all it needed. Like I said, it didn't really need that, but that's all I did to it. That, new gaskets, check the valve springs, stuff like that. But it's a very reliable old engine. The car has been a 622 in the 8th mile. I run a foot brake, single 4-barrel. And oh yeah, what I was explaining is when I told you it turned over hard. I don't know if it'll do it now since it's warmed up. Probably won't. Yeah, it will. Okay, you gotta turn this is going to be hard to do. See if I can rest this on my leg without dropping the camera. I got the ignition switch turned off. Raise my leg a little bit. Well, the battery's low. Well, now it's going to make me into a liar. Batteries might be a little low. Okay. Okay, well, we might want to put a better charge in that battery too. Got a new battery in the back though, so who knows. Okay, let me fool with that for a little bit. Okay, I got it to start. I didn't really do anything. I didn't even get out of the car. There we go. It's gonna do it to me again. Hang on. This old car's been sitting so long. It might need a new starter. That old starter might be corroded up. Okay, we'll quit punishing our starter like that. I may need to put a charge in those batteries. I bought one new battery, thought my other one was still good, but maybe the other one's going bad now. I don't know. But for sitting all summer, we can't complain, can we? Which we did have to work on the fuel pump. But from here on out, I need to promise myself, or maybe you guys watching, that I'm going to start this thing once a month. If you want to see it on video, let me know. If anything, help me out by giving me a little reminder. Hey, Mark, you need to start your old Fairlane. Don't let it sit so long. And if you want to see a video on it that often, we'll do it. But I'm going to put a charger on this battery and see if that helps that. really I just wanted to start it and get a video on it, but now I want to fool with it. But we don't want to fool with it too long. I need to get back on the power stroke. Haven't worked on it pretty much all week. Thought I was going to, but I haven't. So anyway, hope you like this video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the comments. And stay tuned for more. Hopefully we can get some stuff done and do more interesting stuff like this car and the old '66 Ford and the Torino.